Hello, my name is Clive Bates. I'm former Director of Action on Smoking and Health in the UK, former senior civil servant, and now I run a consultancy. I have no conflicts of interest. I have 5 points to make about tobacco harm reduction and vaping today. The first is the basic idea, which is that most of the harm done to the body is caused by inhalation of smoke. That is the burning particulate matter and hot gases created by setting fire to tobacco and inhaling it. If you don't have smoke, then you can avoid almost all of the harm. So products like vaping, like heat not burn products, like smokeless tobacco products, like oral nicotine products, are all smoke free, and they produce much less risk to health. And we know this from exposure data. If you look at the level of toxicants in the blood, in the urine, in saliva, you see the level of exposure far lower than you would if you were smoking. And that gives us confidence there's a genuine health benefit to be gained here. Second area I want to just reinforce is that we know that these products displace smoking. So people use them to quit smoking or never start. We know this from randomized controlled trial data. We know it from observational data, what happens when people use the products. We know it from population trends, where we see smoking falling rapidly as vaping rises. We also, frankly, know it from what users tell us. Many users report quitting smoking, having struggled to quit smoking using any other method. Third area I want to mention is to caution about bad science in this field. There are a lot of claims that are frankly wrong, motivated by people who basically just don't like this as a technology. So we hear about a youth vaping epidemic. In fact, the most frequent users of vaping in the United States would also be likely to be smokers or other tobacco users. For them, it may be beneficial. We've heard about an episode of lung injury, but actually that was all down to cannabis vapes with a contaminant added to them. And then finally, an example, people claim there's a gateway effect. There is no evidence for that. What we see is that people who are inclined to vape are also inclined to smoke, but that's about them as a person rather than the vaping causing the smoking. Fourth area I want to discuss is the risk of doing damage through bad policy, through unintended consequences. So if you make, say, vaping products more expensive, less accessible, less appealing, if you ban the flavors, if you make the packaging ugly, if you make them less pharmacologically appealing relative to cigarettes, then the danger is that all you're doing is creating a protection of the cigarette trade. The danger is bad regulation prolongs the smoking epidemic, protects the cigarette trade, and encourages by default extra smoking. And then fifthly, I just want to raise the idea that the right way to regulate these products is risk proportionate regulation. You make the regulation tough in proportion to how risky they are. So you have high taxes for smoking, low taxes for e-cigarettes. You have bans on advertising of cigarettes, but you have controls of themes and placement of advertising for e-cigarettes. You have tough warnings on cigarettes, maybe even plain packaging, but you have encouraging messages about switching on e-cigarettes. So if you get the policy framework right, you mind out for unintended consequences, then you can exploit the benefits of these new technologies to reduce the overall burden of harm caused by smoking and take advantage of the opportunity rather than be paralyzed by the risk. Thank you very much for listening.